Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Monday, October 14th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? Thank you. First two cards we are starting our day off with today is our Four of Wands in its upright in combination with our Strength card in its reversal. Not surprised to see these two cards today. I believe we had the Strength card in its reversal last time we did our reading. We did. It was definitely in the second row. So we're still seeing a lot of these themes right now. One of the things I have to stress that's occurring right now across all of the frequencies is that movement into making plans, but also feeling a lot of, I want to say, one of the things that we have to describe and define that's been happening ever since the closing out of that eclipse cycle is eclipse cycles often, they almost act as portals to a certain extent. We move through these periods and they can be very expansive. They can be very profound. And usually during those eclipse cycles, they're either like movement or revealing, right? We either see something in a way that we couldn't see something before. That's what we talk about with that expansion process. Or we move forward in ways that it feels the amplification of a lot of the energetic lessons that have led up to the accumulation of the eclipse process. And so even now, I am identifying and recognizing that across all of the frequencies, there is that sense or there is that space of, I want to say, something feeling restorative, but also feeling very vulnerable as a result of it. Why do we see all of this vulnerability? Because there's a lot of personal transformation that is happening right now. And when we come into that modality of transformation, it very much, it can create that sense of almost like new skin, if you will. It can be tender, it can be vulnerable, but even here we are seeing that there's something about that vulnerability that is amplifying the relief and release of a lot of those energetic choices. Now, for masculine and feminine, deep within divine union right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. A lot of this, I want to say the beauty that I see about this right now is a lot of honesty. I see a lot of honesty. And there's something about that honesty that, it really does give me some kind of energy of a sigh to a certain extent. And I'm not surprised to see this as well, because remember how we articulated last week that sense or that space of definition, the difference, if you will, between recognizing and identifying the work that you do, doing it so flawlessly that someone feels like it must be easy, right? a lot of that energy there within divine union. It's the recognition and the reaffirmation of feeling the strength and the vulnerability in what it requires to do what one does in the divine union, because that is the energy that says, that work, it feels like it's unending, but it is also the energy that's recognizing and identifying that the way that one experiences it from within is not how it is perceived from without. And for energy coming into divine union right now, this is a lot of the energy that's coming to understand that. This is a lot of that energy. I told you, getting their hands dirty. I just see it even now, a lot of that energy right now, feeling the messiness of energetic connection. And if this is energy that looked on the outside, looking in on that work in the past, this is the energy that's understanding and recognizing the difference between, like we said, falling in love and moving towards love, right? Choosing love. And so that's the energy that is learning how to get energetically messy with a counterpart, or the energy is feeling the release and the relief of a counterpart that is invested in that type of path work. And what's beautiful about it is it doesn't require perfection. It requires the desire to continue to perfect the energetic connection. And so even here, there's a lot of release and relief that's occurring for energy moving deeper into divine union. For a lot of the energy in separation right now, I just see a lot of authenticity that is occurring for the energy in separation. There's very little artifice here. I keep getting that there's something about the energy in separation saying they have no room for artifice. And what do I mean by artifice? I mean that false sense of self. Like this is this is beautiful, because this is some of that breakthrough energy that we saw between masculine and feminine energy last week, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. We left things in a very interesting place last week. You'll remember the final cards that we pulled, we did not end on a final card. We ended on 2 cards, both in their transverse, one associated with each of the counterparts. Masculine King of Pentacles was matching with that Hermit card in its transverse. So a lot of this energy right now of the masculine in separation, and I need to stress this because this is important. This isn't masculine energy in separation just moving towards any energetic connection for the sake of finding something to do. Because this is the energy of the masculine. It recognizes and identifies, and when one becomes comfortable in one's own skin, one starts to get more, conscientious about what those partnerships are, because this is a lot of the masculine energy that is looking in separation right now for authenticity in energetic connections, an energetic connection wherein they can be their most authentic sense of self, where they don't feel like they need to hide. And that's why we see a lot of the masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, doing that work of becoming comfortable with the self, because when we become comfortable with the self, we can become comfortable before others. And that's a lot of masculine energy in separation, pushing their own envelope, but pushing their own envelope in the best possible way. While for feminine energy right now in separation, this is a lot of the feminine energy right now in separation that's letting go of that feeling or that need to be energetically perfect. Because again, feminine energy is trying to build into a point of authenticity. And this is the feminine energy that's healing in separation, remembering that a good energetic connection doesn't require you to be perfect. It just requires you to be who you are and letting that shine through to a certain extent. So both of these energies right now in separation, I want to say this, like coming into that space of trying to build connections from a place of deep authenticity. But, the viability or the point of success here is I see that something in that process is working. It's just working in a very authentic, delicate way. Center card for today's spread is, we've got here our 7 of Wands in its reversal. Let's talk about this, because this is such a departure from last week. Last week we had so many swords. Look at this. Now we got all the wands popping out. There's a lot of that, and that's because a lot of the energy right now in separation is redefining what it is that they seek in an energetic connection. And that's that expectation, or that one of the ways we can say I love you to someone is when we say you make it easy, right? Because when we say to someone you make it easy, what we're really saying is I feel the comfortability point in being in my authenticity. That doesn't make me feel that I have to try. It just allows me to be. So we see that this is a lot of that energy trying to move towards connections right now in separation. I see it even now, not, trying, I see the energy in separation, trying to walk that fine line in, and it is having a different impact on masculine and feminine. Trying to walk that fine line in terms of being accommodating and authentic, right? Accommodating and authentic. Like there's a lot of that work here. Because again, this would make sense because feminine working on that path work of not over stressing that need to be energetically perfect, right? Masculine doing that path work of becoming more comfortable with expressing, with coming into connection with themselves, and then being more authentic towards feminine. And I like this because it says to me that a lot of the energy in separation, they're holding things with a very loose hand. And I'll put it this way, it's like it's a lot of that energy saying, if there's something I show you, right? And I need to stress this. This isn't the energy saying like this is the energy in separation saying, it's not just a statement of saying what's for me will find me. This is the energy in separation saying what's for me will love what they find, right? It's not just saying what's for me can't miss me, but what's for me will love what they energetically see, right? So that's why so much of this energy is almost healing in some deep way by becoming into their authentic self, because this is the doubling down on that manifestation goal of saying, not only can I not miss something that's for me, but what's for me will delight in what they find there. Well, and at the same time, this isn't the energy saying you have to accept me for all of the messiness, right? This is the energy that's doing that work on the self in the process, right? But this is the energy saying the connections that are for me will find me along the way. Well, for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is just, I just see a lot of this energy coming into divine union right now. Breakthrough, 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 breakthrough. What was once a hurdle is now the path getting cleared. This is all path clearing energy for energy coming into divine union right now. And the thing about path clearing, I need to point this out. Path clearing doesn't mean like da 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 da. It doesn't mean like a door opens, like, oh look, now it's easy. It was so hard before. No, this is like path clearing with a machete. Like this is like path clearing with like I told you, it's like this is the energy that's like we're clearing a path into a good connection, and this is the energy that doesn't just expect and say, oh, when I show up, with the right person, I'll be like all of a sudden I'm in my perfect version of self. This is the energy that understands that when you say that you're clearing a path, that it means you don't just look for a clear path. Sometimes it means you gotta be able to dig in. You gotta be able to get your hands dirty. What we've been talking about here. So this is a lot of that energy that's recognizing, the path that is there versus the path that you work towards clearing. And in that process, this is the energy that's learning that often those paths that look so clear is because the energy's done so much work in clearing them. And this brings us to the energy deep within divine union, which is why the energy divine union right now feels very frustrated when someone says to them, oh, it must be so easy for you. Right? Because this is the energy in divine union going, if it looks easy, it's because we cleared the path. If it looks easy, it's because we cleared the path to make it energetically clear. When you set your mind in doing something and saying that you want to do something and you want to make it effortless, then that moment that someone says, oh, you must have just fallen into what feels easy. That's that moment of being like, what? So the difference again between someone saying to the energy deep within divine union, it must be nice to have something so easy, versus someone saying, you make it look so effortless, right? Different things, completely different meanings. Next two cards in our 5-card spread before we get clarification on these cards is, this card is coming back up today. They were in our card reading last time. Well, it wasn't in the last reading, the reading before. We've got our Death card in its reversal in combination with our Queen of Swords in its reversal. Now, this is having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Now, for a lot of the energy, and I have to stress this, when this is why that's a little bit energetically triggering for feminine to receive deep within divine union, right? Because when someone says, oh, Like, oh, look how lucky you are, or look how easy something is. This is the energy saying you don't recognize that what you're seeing is something that's required a lot of work. Like, you know what I mean? Like the food didn't just show up on the table like this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's why we see even now that for some of the feminine energy, having that path work of appreciation, I even see it now, you know, like I see that there may be a little bit of hairiness that's happening right now for feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Either now would not be a good day to assume that feminine energy would be available for something rather than just effectively asking. Because we see even now, like I told you, a lot of this feminine energy is working on that sense of the self that does not, that almost allows for that path work of disappointing others in the process. And so we see even now, like this is the feminine energy coming into that space of frustration, potentially because this is a lot of the feminine energy deep within divine union that feels like they've got their hands full. And when you feel like you got your hands full, you know, the last thing you need is someone being like, hey, can you just do this one extra? Like, that's that, I told you, it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back kind of energy. Like a lot of this feminine energy kind of being like, no, I'm not available for that. I'm sorry. You know, like a lot of that here to a certain extent. But I want to say, even in this path work here, feminine being able to articulate their own energetic boundaries to a certain extent, that's a continuation on the feminine's healing process, right? Because this is more of that work of the feminine basically saying everything can happen in relationality to time and priority. And this is a lot of the feminine energy kind of protecting their own energetic boundaries and saying if the energy around them isn't able to kind of like get in line, if you will, you know what I mean? Like that's the energy saying, like, this is the feminine saying, like, I can be energetically available, but I need to do so in such a way that feels like it facilitates a space of the feminine being able to maintain their own energetic boundaries. So this is hard work for the feminine right now. Masculine, deep within divine union, this could be a lot of that masculine energy that's helping feminine through that path work. The hurdle for the masculine right now, I want to say is, and this is some of that being able to like work and function as a clear mirror, like that sense or that space of masculine appreciating how much the feminine does for those around them. This could even be some masculine energy getting thorny if someone is in that space or place of not being appreciative of the feminine counterpart. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Or protecting, like, or respecting their energetic boundaries. Now, masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is a lot of that work that we were identifying and recognizing in what it takes to create a healthy energetic partnership. I'm just seeing this now. For masculine, this may be feeling very vulnerable because I see even now a lot of masculine coming into divine union, recognizing and identifying those moments, and this is what I need to stress this. Okay, this is like a big message coming through for the masculine coming into divine union. When we're not emotionally comfortable with our own emotions, we can't see our own emotions to the self, much less can we articulate them to the counterpart. And so a lot of this energy right now of masculine, I see that this work is work that's starting on the internal space, right? Because I'm just identifying that for a lot of the masculine energy, being able to really connect with how you're feeling, with the encouragement of a feminine counterpart that shows an ability to kind of unpack things with you. There's a lot of the masculine energy right now coming into divine union that's learning to be authentic and true to the feminine instead of just saying the things that they believe that the feminine wants to hear. And in that modality, I can see that it's scary. I can see the masculine feeling those moments in not knowing how the feminine will receive something. But what do we see that the feminine's doing right now? Feminine's articulating the same message that the feminine was conveying over the last few days for the energy coming into divine union, which is, again, as long as you're doing the work, as long as you're prioritizing, there's nothing that you can say that's going to move the feminine energy away from that path work, right? As long as you're coming into that space of energetically prioritizing the connection, this is a lot of the feminine energy saying to masculine, not only can I be energetically patient, but I can accept like where you are and where you are not. You see that? Like this is the difference. And I need to stress this because we're about to get to this. This is the same exact message that was coming for the energy in separation, which is, again, what spells towards the positive connection. It doesn't require everything to happen instantaneously. It requires a clarity as to where you actually are. So even here, if these are new connections that feminine is forging with the new energetic connections of masculine, the masculine energy that is able to articulate both what they desire at this time versus what they don't desire. This is the energy of the feminine that takes a breath of fresh air, because that's a feminine that doesn't feel like the masculine's coming towards them, trying to build them an illusion, right? This is the feminine feeling the release of a masculine being honest, talking about the limitation vectors and saying that's true, because that's not the masculine trying to paint a pretty picture. That is a masculine using all the hues, right? For masculine, this is hard work in an energetic connection. And this is for masculine. If this was a masculine that was trying to build forth in this way, but in the past, the feminine energy, previous connections of feminine were too volatile, right? Too much of that work there. We see even now that for a lot of the energy navigating that, this feels like a trust fall in those connections. Because this is the masculine that feels that expectation and saying, you know, I know this might lead the feminine further away, but this is the masculine building towards the feminine from a point of authenticity. And what is the masculine saying to themselves? If I am authentic to the feminine and that moves the feminine away from me, I guess that's not the energetic connection for me. So we see even now a lot of vulnerability, but a lot of honesty coming in the form of new energetic connections built upon vulnerability and trust. We like to see this. Continuing to get clarification between our Four of Wands and its upright in combination with our Strength card in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Cups in its reversal. Love, 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 love. To see this card right now, particularly in relationality to the energy in separation. Because that sense or that space, identifying and recognizing, knowing what it is that one desires. I have to point this out. This isn't the energy that's being all flexible right now in separation. This isn't the energy saying I'm up for anything. This is the energy right now going, I'm looking for a very specific thing. But this is nice because it's happening across masculine and feminine energy right now. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. And this is the feminine. I need to stress this right now. This is the feminine not being energetically perfect, right? This is the feminine energy that may be building into conversations, articulating to someone what feels like they are flexible upon versus what they feel like they are not flexible on. Remember how we spoke about the last cycle was all built upon and based upon the refining of a manifestation goal, right? So we see even now that for a lot of that feminine energy in separation, that ability of being able to articulate to a masculine and say, listen, this is what I'm flexy with, like this is what I'm flexible about, but this is what I consider this is my aspiration for manifestation, accept no invitations. This is a feminine energy that's basically saying to the masculine, right, not this is a feminine that's articulating very clearly like what those standards are. And for the masculine that may be coming out of those experiences where feminine was trying to be too energetically perfect and it was making it too hard for the masculine to be able to anticipate or understand what it is the feminine desired, this is a relief, right? Because this is a masculine that's saying to feminine in separation, in relationality to your openness, I'm going to give you honesty. In relationality to you being very open, I'm going to bring forth honesty. So we see even now masculine being very energetically specific, which is hard for the masculine, right? Feminine being able to articulate the difference between what they are firm on, between what they are flexible upon. Both of these energies having refined their manifestation goals in different ways, that is leading to new energetic opportunities. Now, masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is the energy doing that work. Recognize and identifying how hard that work that is. But this is the energy right now coming into divine union that reaffirms to one another and says, so long as we are moving towards the same goal, so long as we are prioritizing the same things, it allows for that sense of path clearing, right? Because this is the energy that's willing to do that work and willing to facilitate forward in that way. And that's even facilitating what needs to be worked on within the self. Because this is the energy that even in the process of doing that, they're saying to one another, it doesn't need to be said, it can be seen. This is the energy that says, I see the fact that we are both focused and building upon that because it's definable, right? And masculine may be having a lot of those breakthroughs in relationality to being able to like build into that space of being comfortable, of articulating how they're feeling to the feminine, potentially in ways that they haven't before. Feminine is being given the opportunity to build trust with masculine by being able to be a safe space for that communication while also maintaining that point of energetic balance. Energy deep within divine union right now, this is the energy that feels the frustration of either someone who gets it or doesn't. If this is the energy that doesn't recognize how difficult that path work is, this is the energy being like, you either get it or you don't. Like, it's a little bit of like, you get it or you don't. And this is the energy that feels the relief and the release that says, the energy that gets it, right? I feel like there's a lot of that energy deep within divine union that just recognizes the difference between, again, I'm telling you, the energy that says, oh, it's just so easy for you, versus someone saying, you make it look so effortless. Continuing to get clarification between our Strength card in its reversal in combination with our Seven of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with, we love it. This queen's been popping up all day today. Queen of Wands and it's upright. Masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union. This is going to have a different impact on masculine and feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I told you, this is a lot of the feminine energy that is surrendering that feeling of having to be perfect. This is a lot of the feminine energy that is coming into that point of celebrating and saying to themselves, what if my imperfection is perfect? Like, what occurs in that modality, right? Because this is the energy of the feminine deep within divine union. That, and I want to say it even now, this is the reflection point between how the feminine feels within divine union versus how the feminine may be seen outside of it, right? So a lot of this here, maybe that sense or that space of, like, this isn't the feminine energy going around to anyone around them and saying, like, this is what it takes to be able to come on, like, this is what it takes to come across like that. Like, this is not the feminine energy that's in that modality of being like, I'm glad that this looks effortless because I'm exhausted, right? This is a lot of that feminine energy. Like, the word poise is coming through, right? Like, a lot of that work that we're seeing here is, you know, this is feminine energy, potentially even talking towards partnership in such a way of identifying that the poise that we bring to ourselves is the poise that we bring in the relationships that we're in, right? Which is that sense or that space of, you know, maintaining one's poise is making something look effortless even when it is difficult. And so I see even here, this could be a lot of feminine energy, maybe even having conversations with other feminine energy that may be feeling less than like less like more vulnerable right now. This could be a lot of those conversations that feminine has. It says, I feel like you do, I'm just carrying it with poise. Like I'm just like, like that's like that. And I need to stress this. I can see even now that that's a lot of the feminine in separate in deep within divine union, that remembers the difference between faking it until you make it, which is feel it until you heal it. Right? I can see a lot of the feminine energy saying that to other feminine energy, which is sometimes the best way that we build ourselves into a place of energetically healing, is we allow ourselves to embody the energetic feeling of it. It feels like it feels difficult, right? That can be hard sometimes. Masculine energy, deep within divine union. I just see a lot of the masculine energy deep within divine union right now, very much articulating the same to a certain extent. It's interesting because like I see that there's a lot of conversation right now with masculine deep within divine union that is focused or centered around feminine energy. And I say the one thing that I stress about this right now is like a lot of that masculine energy, I think the only thing I'd be like conscientious of is this is a lot of that masculine energy going through that energetic process of reaffirming their own energetic commitment to themselves, that the feminine is not in a space or place of requiring defending, is what I'm seeing. Like, I feel like a lot of masculine energy right now is healing from that context or from that space of feeling overly protective towards feminine, but almost coming into that point of appreciation in like recognizing and empowering the feminine both in that context while also healing that part. I don't think it's in a negative way. This is a lot of the masculine energy working through that context within the feminine and the masculine, not being overbearing on feminine in that modality. That there's a little bit of unpacking there. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. There's just so much of this work that I'm seeing here that is built upon the deep appreciation of who you're doing this work with. Because even now I'm seeing that for a lot of those partnerships, a lot of those energies coming into divine union, feeling the stability and strength of a counterpart that allows you to be your authentic sense of self while also prioritizing the energetic connection. For masculine, that feels like that modality of being more honest to feminine than you ever have before. But if these are experiences where a masculine is being more honest than they have before with feminine, and they're recognizing and finding that feminine is being strengthened by that openness, like this is a lot of the masculine doing that energetic unpacking in relationality to the past experiences. Because I see even now there's like a bit of a question mark that forms with the energy of the masculine coming into divine union in terms of identifying and saying, is that the work of the self or was that the work of the energetic counterpart? And the answer is both, right? We meet those that are in alignment with us. So I can see even now, like masculine potentially coming into divine union, getting caught in like some kind of like chicken and egg thing in relationality to like how much they've changed versus how much they experienced outside of the self. But I almost see a lot of that masculine energy going, it doesn't energetically matter, because the appreciation point that they're building with the counterpart is one that even in that process of unpacking, they're saying that was like that in itself, like feels like the alignment with the energetic counterpart. That's a masculine almost saying to themselves, I haven't felt safe to do so before you. While for feminine, a lot of the feminine energy here coming into divine union, there's anxiety here, right? There's that anxiety of the feminine. If this is feminine having gone further with masculine than they have before, this is a lot of the feminine healing from those spaces and places that made them feel like they had to be energetically perfect in order to maintain a connection with masculine, right? Because if this is the experience of feminine that said, okay, it was in that moment that masculine recognized that I wasn't perfect, that they energetically departed. And now the feminine energy has that masculine energy that's around them. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Showing that sense or that understanding that perfect is not something that exists. Perfect is something that we create together. There's a lot of that energy of the feminine that's feeling more confident and empowered to be their authentic self in the process. While masculine and feminine right now in separation, I just see a lot of new energetic connections that are forming in separation, but I like this energy in separation. I know the circumstances might not be ideal, but I just see even now like a lot of this feminine energy in separation just going, I don't have time to pretend to be someone I'm not, right? This is literally the feminine energy in separation saying, and this is why feminine's coming towards masculine from a place of authenticity. Because remember what we talked about with the energy deep within divine union, talking about poise? This is the feminine saying, when I poise to masculine and come across as like soft or vulnerable or like, someone that I'm not, this is the feminine saying, when masculine sees the feminine like in their authenticity, like this is the feminine saying, if I'm not my true self towards masculine, then no wonder there's that separation point when that occurs, right? Because that's the feminine being like, that's that moment of being like, hello, this is who I am. And then the masculine going the opposite direction. So we see even now, this is a lot of the feminine energy. I want to say like, it feels a little bit like, and I don't mean this in a way of the feminine not working on the self, but this is the feminine appreciating oneself enough to say, I'm proud of who I am. And I want you to be proud of it too. And so I'm coming towards you from that place of energetic pride, holding that, in the most vulnerable way, but in the most authentic way. And for masculine, I see a lot of that masculine energy building into that space of trying to be very honest to feminine in these new energetic connections. And this is the masculine saying, if I'm not authentic to feminine as to what I desire, then I never give the feminine the opportunity of moving towards the manifestation goal with me. So this is a lot of the masculine energy working on that sense of trust within the self and almost saying to themselves, even as they build into those new energetic connections, if there's something I say in that modality that is authentic but sends the feminine away, then that is not a feminine that is in alignment with me. So be it. Like that's a masculine being like, that's okay, because then this is the masculine saying to themselves, the feminine energy will embrace me in my authenticity. And that's a masculine doing that work with that Hermit card in the transverse that we saw, becoming more comfortable with themselves in the process. Continuing to get clarification between our Seven of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Death card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now in our Eight of Wands in its reversal. I just got to point this out, guys. Do you know how many swords cards we were pulling in our last reading? So many sword cards. Now things are getting more productive again. We've got all wands here. This is a great reading. But I have to stress this. You have to identify an energetic hurdle before you can clear it. So today might be frustrating insofar as it helps to identify what the holdup is. Like it's giving a little bit of that type of energy here. Being like, I figured it out. Like it's giving a little bit of that. But again, it's some days, I need to point this out. Some days the recognition on what the hurdle is, like that is its own breakthrough. And so I see even now, and this is happening in a big way right now for energy and separation, because I did see that there was some energy right now in separation, still going through some kind of point of conflict with past energetic connections. And this is hearkening back to what we were talking about. The ability to work through something requires mutual acknowledgement on what the problem is. Right? And so I see even now, like that is either the energy recognizing and identifying, mutually understanding what that energetic hurdle is, or if these are situations where someone was experiencing that sense or that space of someone saying like, here's a problem, and someone being like, I don't see a problem there, right? Like someone being like, this is a hurdle, and someone being like, there's nothing there. This is a lot of new energetic connections, identifying what the hurdle is and having the new counterpart saying, no, I see it. I've experienced it. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, this is the energy going, I know exactly what you're talking about, right? Because this is a lot of that energy in separation. I can hear them like singing this back and forth to each other. You can't fix something that someone says isn't broken. You can't heal something that someone says doesn't need to be healed. This is a lot of that energy saying, that's not a situation that you can stay within, because it's saying that all you have to do, like the only thing you're forced to do is experience it and pretend it's not there. And this is a lot of energy saying, I'm not building into partnerships that require disassociation in order to maintain the energetic connection. While masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is what I talked about with path clearing. What's the difference between the energy right now in separation and the energy coming into divine union? These are the mutual acknowledged identifications on where the work begins. It's allowing for the path clearing, because this is the energy that's saying it's not easy, but we're mutually invested in making it better. And that's the energy that's already deep within divine union, because their commitment to clearing the path says it is so. Even as they don't know like what's around the next corner. Like, this is a lot of that energy is just like kind of learning that's part and parcel for it. Which is why you can imagine, for energy deep within divine union, someone being like, it's just so easy for you. You being like, what? Like, huh? Because this is that energetic equivalent in recognizing and identifying like what that work is, what that prioritization point is, what that tenacity is. And this is the energy that says, if it looks effortless, it's because we're rigorous. If it looks effortless, it's because we're tenacious. If it looks effortless, it's because we deem it to be. And once you deem something to be, then it doesn't matter what it energetically takes. You're gonna move in that energetic direction. So this is a lot of the energy coming into divine union, and the energy deep within divine union, like doing a lot of that path clearing to a certain extent. Further clarification between our Death card in its reversal and our Queen of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with, look who's showing up again. If this looks familiar, it's because this was one of the last cards we ended our read on last week. It was in its transverse, and remember, it was in connection with our King of Pentacles energy and its upright. We've got here our Hermit card in its reversal. Now, I'm not surprised to see this card right now. In fact, this is exactly where we found the masculine last week, bearing in mind that's not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Deep within divine union right now. What's going on with masculine deep within divine union right now? This is a little bit of like, there's some masculine energy deep within divine union right now that's working through some feelings of energetic clinginess, is what I'm seeing here. Because I see even here that for some of that masculine energy deep within divine union, I told you, like that ability of not being overprotective of the feminine, right? Like there's a lot of this energy of the masculine I see even now kind of working through some of that path work. And it almost says to me like there's a little bit of that energy of the masculine that like I see like gets a little like, I want to say like protective over the feminine. And this is a lot of the masculine energy that's like working through some of that energetic overprotectiveness. And it's hard. It's difficult because I see even now that for a lot of the masculine in that modality, building into that trust process, like letting oneself feel your own feelings and allowing oneself to inhabit one's own anxieties and fears. This has a lot to do with the masculine that's learning, like much like the energy of the masculine in separation, learning to become like emotionally feel safe feeling what one is feeling without feeling like one must to take action upon it. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into, and for the feminine energy right now, this is a lot of the feminine energy that I gotta stress this right now. Like, there might not be like a great deal of communication happening right now, even deep within divine union, but this is a lot of that energy deep within the partnership that, you know, like, this is the energy that is mutually tackling those hurdles, and that sense or that space of doing so, it doesn't require a lot of over like communication about it. Now, masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is the energy trying to address the communication problems. I'm seeing even now there may be a lot of masculine that's recognizing and saying the feminine is asking you to bring forth an internal process. I see it even now. I see a lot of masculine coming into divine union being like, you're asking me to turn something inside out. You're asking me to take the thing that I do internally and bring it externally. And I see even now, like, some of the energy coming into divine union, arguing with feminine, saying like it's a little bit of a Schrodinger's cat thing. Because there's like the masculine being like, even in the ability of doing so, something gets lost in the energetic translation. And then masculines catching themselves and being like, I'm finding excuses not to do it. Why do I? And this is the masculine going like, this is a little bit of energetic navel gazing that's happening right now for masculine energy coming into divine union. Because this is a masculine going, when did I stop feeling I could externalize that process when it wasn't safe to do so? Like, I see it even now. Like, there's a lot of that energy of masculine right now trying to overcome communication hurdles by being more energetically open. And the recognition point, and this is important, the recognition point of masculine is, just because you feel it doesn't mean it's there. Just because you feel it doesn't mean it's there. That's how the masculine coming into divine union is healing this, which is the reaffirmation that you can feel anything you want to feel inside, but if you don't articulate it to the feminine, they don't know what's going on. You know, like they don't have tangible connection point to what you feel internally if you don't build into that sense of confidence and being able to articulate it. So I see even now, like, a lot of the masculine energy recognizing that and saying, yeah, you don't know how I feel unless I tell you, and vice versa. It's hard here, right? Because there's a lot of communication hurdles that are being they're being addressed right now for the energy coming into divine union. And I see even now, like, the nice thing about that, I mean, the one thing I appreciate is there's a lot of masculine energy right now taking personal responsibility in being more communicative, and feminine being energetically patient with masculine in that process. And then feminine building into that space of saying, nothing you tell me will move, like, I won't take it personally, right? So this is the feminine coming through that sense of energetic rigor, right? Because this is the feminine saying, as long as you prioritize what that connection is, there's nothing you can say to me that'll move us apart, right? So this is some intense healing right now that's happening for energy coming into divine union. Like, I just get here like a lot of path clearing. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is what someone couldn't see or refuse to acknowledge. Like, I just see even now, like, I just see these energies singing this song to one another, being like, yeah, there was just this wall between us. It was like right there, and it kept pointing to the wall. I was like, can you see the wall? And someone being like, what wall? Right? This is the feminine, like, speaking towards masculine energetic connection here. And this is the energy of the masculine in separation going, I know that feeling all too well. Because this is the masculine saying, I don't know about the energetic wall, but I feel like I had a feminine that was like, kept moving the target on what I was trying to find. And I felt like I was lost because I never knew what I could do that would be right. Right? So we see both of these energies potentially healing right now in separation by having the energy observing new energetic connections that are affirming the blockages that led to separation in the blockage that someone was trying to articulate but another refused to acknowledge or see. Continuing to get clarification between our Seven of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Queen of Wands in its upright. I like this energy in separation right now. This is some good stuff that we're seeing here. Can I have one card to clarify, please? Woo! got our hangman in its upright. We got our hangman in its upright here. And I gotta say this, like, we got a little bit of this like free bird energy happening right now for the energy in separation. Why? Because it's a relief. Do you know how it feels? Like, again, I see a lot of this energy in separation that was struggling with something, with a potential counterpart, saying, it's right here. Why can't you see it? And someone being like, I don't see it. I don't know what you're talking about. And someone being like, it's like right there. Like, this is what we need to fix. And someone being like, that's a you problem. I don't know what that is. And a lot of this energy, what happens when you're in separation and you articulate upon an energetic problem, and not only does someone recognize it, but they say, oh yeah, I've experienced it too. Oh, like that's the energy that immediately feels validated and vindicated in relationality to the direction that they're moving in, because this is the energy that by the observation of someone saying, yeah, I see it too. Like, it's like, that's the energy going, oh, thank God, because that's the energy in separation that's feeling that validation point in what they felt like they could change versus what they felt like they had to accept to be able to facilitate staying in an energetic connection. And so more of that same song for the energy and separation that's coming through, which is like, you can't fix what someone does and say is broken. you can't heal what someone says does not require to be mended. Like, there's just a lot of that here. Masculine and feminine energy, and this is the energy building into new connections, and someone being like, oh no, I've been there, I know, oh, like they're singing these songs to one another. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union. This is the energy having those breakthroughs, having those energetic breakthroughs. More on the masculine energy right now. A lot of the masculine energy coming into divine union, recognizing that a lot of the things that you potentially felt, if you're not in a space of being able to articulate them, feminine can't see them. If you don't articulate how you feel, how does feminine know how you feel? This is a lot of the masculine energy having a lot of that. It's hard here. I can see it. Credit to the masculine energy that is doing this work, because I see a lot of the masculine energy coming out of their shell, like doing that work, building into vulnerability and saying to the feminine, you got to be patient with me. This is hard for me to articulate. This is hard for me to navigate. And this is what is the feminine saying to the masculine in that. As long as you're trying, you're not trying, you're being. This is a lot of the feminine energy saying, you're not trying, you're doing it. You're literally doing it. In the moment that you say, you have to be patient with me, I'm trying. This is the feminine energy saying, you're not trying, you're being. I see you doing that work. It doesn't, and this is the feminine saying, you don't need to be perfect on it. You just need to keep trying. You'll get better, right? And so this is a lot of that beautiful healing taking place right now in the energetic connections coming into divine union. The masculine learning to open up. The feminine having the opportunity and saying, thank you for giving me the space to energetically protect you along the way. While for the energy deep within divine union, this is a little bit different here, because I see even now, like, there's a lot of, I don't know where this is coming from. There's a lot of this like overprotectiveness occurring right now for a lot of the masculine deep within divine union. And I just see a lot of the masculine energy deep within divine union articulating and reaffirming and saying, feminine energy can take care of themselves. Feminine energy can take care of themselves. Feminine energy can take care of themselves. Feminine energy can take, it's fine. You know, like I see it even now, like there's a lot of that masculine energy, like working through that to a certain extent. And feminine energy basically, navigating something, in a way that, like, again, is like, I want to say like, and I want to say some of this right now is, it's like, this is the feminine energy, both like helping feminine energy that needs some kind of, like confidence boost or like doing a lot of that work here. But I also see here that there's a lot of this feminine energy right now, deep within divine union. Like, I have to stress, that's the only thing about this. This is like a lot of the energy deep within divine union, like working on two different fronts. and not necessarily being able to be as supportive to one another in the process, but also like trusting in the process as they go. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Queen of Wands in its upright in combination with our Eight of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming. So many wands today. Jeez Louise. Okay, it's good. I like it. It's good. I'm like happy. I'm never mad to see wands. Because there's planning here, there's communication, there's working on those plans. Masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union. This is a lot of that energy just having their work cut out for them, much like the energy was of the energy coming into divine union a week ago. This is a lot. This is like I see a lot of busyness this week. So a lot of that work in facilitating forward right now. Communication, path work, planning. A lot of breakthroughs here. But I need to stress, this is one of those days that could be frustrating because it's recognizing the energetic hurdles so that you can come towards better solutions, right? You can't fix a problem unless you recognize what the energetic problem is. So there's a little bit of a breakthrough here in understanding and getting better perception on what any kind of holdup might be, communication or planning wise, or a lot of addressing those. Like path clearing. It's a big path clearing day is what I'm getting. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union. A lot of path clearing, but that's mutual recognition on what the problem is. Masculine learning to communicate more openly, and that's hard for the masculine. Feminine being supportive of masculine as they continue forward in that process. For the energy right now in separation, I'm just seeing new energetic connections that are being forged with the release and the relief of articulating something to someone that someone else refused to see, and someone immediately identifying it as I see even before you finish saying it. Like I see the energy going, no, you don't have to finish. I know exactly what like say less. Like I see a lot of this. I see a lot of these new energetic connections being like, say less. I understand completely, and that's what's leading to like the new connections. Continuing to get clarification between our Eight of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Hermit card in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Pentacles in its upright. This is good. This is a very similar energy that we saw last week, because you'll remember last week we ended with the King of Pentacles in its upright. So we're just identifying here that a lot of the energy in separation, that mutual appreciation in saying, no, I see what you're talking about. Like literally someone saying, no, I see what you're talking about. As in like, I see the energetic hurdle that you are navigating with someone. And someone basically saying like, yeah, you can't fix something if someone won't acknowledge that it needs to be fixed. This is the energy that's building into like new opportunities with recognition of path work, mutual recognition of the hurdles that you've experienced in past connections, and the value and importance in being able to identify a problem in order to facilitate an easy solution. You make things easy. This is the energy right now coming into divine union, working on something and saying, this is difficult. This is very difficult, but we are committed to making it easier. So this is a lot of the energy that knows and identifies what that problem is and is facilitating putting that pathwork towards one another to make something easier. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, I just see even now for masculine energy right now, this is getting very practical. This is masculine right now trying to focus on practicalities. This is how masculine energy is navigating any of those like energetic insecurities around the energetic connection. And this is feminine also navigating forward in that way. And this is, I want to say, like, these energies right now, even within divine union, there's separation here. But a lot of that separation is because it doesn't feel like there's a need to communicate. Like the beauty of a healthy part, I need to point this out. Sometimes the most beautiful aspect of a healthy partnership is it doesn't require continual communication, right? Like, there's something about this even here where these are energies that if there isn't communication, it's happening. It's a recognition point in knowing what one another is doing and not wanting to create a place of distraction. Continuing to get clarification between our hangman in its reversal, in combination with our Three of Wands in its upright. Bum, ba, bum. One card to clarify. Sun card in its reversal. This is like, again, this is why the energy right now is doing the best with the like less than ideal circumstances, right? This is a lot of that energy right now, doing the best that they can with less than ideal circumstances. And is this the energy in divine union when they find less than ideal circumstances? Do they just like, fall on the floor and curl up and cry? No, like that's not what this energy does. Like this is a lot of the energy within divine union that almost says like, I don't have the luxury of navigating in that space of negativity, right? Like, do you ever notice that? This is the energy that's almost like, I don't have the luxury of dwelling in negativity, right? Because it doesn't feel practical. There's a lot of this energy right now that's like, yeah, I don't energetically let myself dwell in negativity because it's just not practical, right? So we see even now that for so much of that energy, like facilitating in that space, it's the same message that I'm seeing. It's not about faking it until you make it. It's being it until you heal it. Feeling it until you heal it. This is the energy that says that the ability to maintain that point of positivity is one that you move towards tenaciously. Because once you're set on that path work, what is there to be negative about? It's hard, but it's always hard. But you make the energetic best of it, Now, masculine and feminine coming into divine union. So much of this work that we're seeing right now, this is the energy that effectively recognizes and identifies. This is the energy, I have to say, there's like, this is really heavy for the energy coming into divine union right now. Because I just keep seeing, even now, and I'm going to say this for the energy coming into divine union, if there's something that you haven't seen about yourself, that you're just now seeing, having entered an energetic connection, congratulations. Like, remember that is a positive moment, because it says that you now identify what it is that you need to work on, right? And that recognition point, that identification, that clarity, if you will, this is a lot of that energy coming into divine union, and it is having a different impact on masculine and feminine. That uncertainty as to whether you can fix something, but in the moment that you're both mutually invested in doing so, you already are. Right? In the moment of identifying and recognizing where the work is, like this is the energy that is investing on that path work and saying we know what we need to do. And just because it's hard doesn't mean that it changes our direction. And so even here, there's a lot of emotional unpacking I'm recognizing for energy coming into divine union. And there's a lot of forgiveness of the self in the process. For the energy right now in separation, this is the relief of frustration. I see it even now. There's a lot of energy in separation, potentially even saying to a new energetic connection, yeah, it was awful. I was mad. I was so mad about it. I was furious. And there's something, I got to say it even now, if these are modalities wherein you are coming towards someone, a new energetic connection, and you're articulating upon what the problem was, what the hurdle was, and someone immediately says, no, I see that completely. I understand exactly what you're talking about. There's a lot of that work of like, and I want to say it is having a different impact on masculine and feminine. because it's the frustration point. Like for feminine, like that recognition of basically saying, I understand that there's potentially connections that I want to build towards that say that they want the same thing that I want, but when push comes to shove, they don't understand what that work is that is required to maintain it. You know, that's a lot of that feminine energy feeling frustrated, because that's the feminine saying, it's not my responsibility to do all the heavy lifting to be able to maintain an energetic connection. There's a lot of feminine going, I can do it. I know it. I've done it before. But the beauty of this in the feminine in separation saying, I'm not looking to carry the weight of keeping a connection together. I'm looking at someone who recognizes that that is a weight that is shared. And for masculine energy, this is masculine saying, there's only a healed masculine coming towards feminine saying, there's only so much I can do. I can be very energetically consistent. I just require a feminine energy that also understands that the consistency that we provide each other is the act of love. And so for the feminine to like navigate the energetic hurdles in such a way that they're able to come towards masculine, this is masculine saying, you know, that sense of the feminine having that work in terms of saying like, you know, I feel like you're not doing this. I feel like you're not doing that. I feel like you're not doing this. Instead of a feminine that does that work and says, this is what I need right now. This is what I seek, right? This is the difference between the masculine saying, if the feminine comes towards me just from a feeling of needing something, I need the feminine to understand if that's something I can give them, or if that is something that is just energetically within them that needs to be navigated before you put it forth to another. Because when we come towards each other in a space of feeling like we're lacking, we often will project that onto the counterpart and say that they are lacking. So we see even now, these are new energetic counterparts that are coming together, both sharing grief in what they felt was in their power to change versus what they feel was in their power to accept. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Three of Wands in combination with our Knight of Pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Magician card. Now, masculine and feminine energy, you know, I have to stress this right now. This is really important. Like, this is really important here. I need to point this out. This is how far these energies have come in their own healing journey. I see right now there's a lot of this energy in separation. This is feminine energy looking towards new masculine energy and going, I could have stayed. I could have carried the weight of the relationship, but this was a feminine saying, at what cost? Right? Because this is the feminine saying that my ability this is the feminine energy saying my ability to make something work at any and all cost is a gift, as long as someone is in appreciation of what it is that I'm bringing them. Like, this is a lot of the feminine energy in separation saying, as long as I am appreciated in the act of giving, I can do energetically anything, right? And so this is the feminine saying, I potentially moved away from energetic connections where it felt like that determination point was not one that was mutually being created, because there's a lot of this energy right now in separation of the feminine that's articulating. I see even now, like, this is some of the trepidation of feminine coming towards masculine and saying, you can say that you desire something, but there's a big difference between saying that you desire something and being able to put the energetic work in, right? There's a difference between desiring something that feels energetically ideal versus actually knowing what one must, put forth in order to have what one thinks about that seems so like beautiful in one's head, right? So we see even now like a lot of that energy saying like that point of appreciation is being recognized. Now for masculine in separation, this is masculine saying to feminine and saying, I can bring forth consistency so long as the feminine recognizes and identifies what it is that they desire. But this is the feminine. Masculine says, if this is a feminine that is always changing what that direction is, always changing like what that preference is, always moving away from that, this is a masculine that says, that doesn't allow for an energetic consistency in the partnership. It makes me feel like I'm just moving in service towards the feminine's, ever-changing like desires, right? So we see even now like a lot of that energy saying I could have energetically stayed in something, but it wasn't creating the stability that was from a point of balance. A lot of that Libra eclipse lesson that we saw coming forward. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that's changing. This is the energy that's changing, and they're changing themselves. They're recognizing parts of themselves in the process of moving towards a stable counterpart. This is the energy that is recognizing and identifying what that pathwork looks like. And for feminine, masculine, this is potentially building upon communication, right? And a lot of this work I'm seeing even now, this is masculine moving away from just saying what they think that they want what they think the feminine wants to hear, versus really being able to like even describe the like if this is masculine that was always avoiding saying those more difficult things to feminine, this is masculine learning to externalize an internal process, not feeling that need of like I want to say this is a masculine saying I'm not going to avoid the messy parts with feminine, because the messy is what the feminine wants from me. The feminine wants to emotionally be invested in where I am so we can build these things together. So we see even now like a lot of that masculine working on communication, feminine building into that space of being receptive towards what masculine brings forth, not being changeable, especially if this is the energy where they're learning to communicate in more authenticity. So both of these energies right now navigating those difficulties and having breakthroughs in the process. Masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now. This is like there's not much to say too much right now for the energy deep within divine union, so much as that sense or that space of like being on the same page, like having to do some work right now on different fronts, but recognizing and identifying and feeling the stability of a partner that you don't have to worry about them in the process of doing that effective work. Like this is the energy that's like literally they're like standing on the ship of the relationship, because it creates enough stability to be able to tackle the energetic hurdles surrounding it. Final card for today's spread, between our Sun card in its reversal in combination with our Magician card in its upright, is look at this. We've got here our Two of Cups in its upright. Now, masculine and feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is a lot of the energy deep within divine union. And even saying here, even if we're doing different things, this is the energy saying we're doing the same thing. We're doing the same thing. Because this is a lot of that energy that says together we can do anything, right? And this is the energy that like prioritizes and maintains that connection point that allows them, I want to say it even now, that focus and concentration on things outside of the partnership, in a way, like is the benchmark of the positive energetic connection, because you don't have, it's like I see even now for a lot of that energy deep within divine union, it's not even something that you're thinking about because of the stability that it creates, right? That's the gift. That's the gift. Like that's the word of love. When we say you make something easy, means you create a context through which I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to struggle about it. I can focus on what I need to focus on in the process. And that's not something that you just like say to someone, leave me alone, right? This is the energy that has built the trust in the relationship to such a context that it's earned. It's stability. It's stabilizing. Now, masculine and feminine coming into divine union, they're learning how to energetically stabilize in this fashion. And it's not easy, right? It's not easy. It requires a lot of unpacking. It requires a lot of learning. And these are the energies right now that even in that moment, that uncertainty as to what the future will hold, because they're doing something in a way that they haven't done it before, they're already in the process of having a breakthrough, because this is the energy that is saying, I prioritize this energetic connection. I know we both define where the work is, and we're going to do what it takes to get there. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, in separation, new potential energetic connections that are happening, and they're all happening in that space of identifying and saying, I see even now, showing someone what the energetic hurdle was that another refused to see, and someone being like, oh no, I see it right there. Like, yeah, there's snuffleupagus. Like there it is. Yeah, it's like, no, it's not snuffleupagus. It's right there. It's like, it's right there. You can't miss it. And so even in that moment of being able to describe what another said was not present, the moment someone says, no, I completely see what you're talking about, like, yeah, that sounds like a huge hurdle. That definitely sounds like something that would have required you to have to pretend was not there or disassociate from in order to maintain the energetic connection. We see even now that these are the connections that are building into a sense of, like, I want to say, if not deep relationships, deep friendships here. Because I see even now, like, someone saying, I know what you're talking about. Like, it feels like that release and relief. Bottom of the deck, woof, Lovers in its reversal. This is some powerful energy today, my friends, because we've got the Two of Cups here and the Lovers in its reversal. So let's talk about it. For the energy in separation, this, I have to stress this. This is what I meant about a lot of that finalitude in relationality to past energetic connections. Because I see even now, like, for a lot of those new energetic connections that are forming, that anxiety, I told you, there's a lot of that energy in separation that feels that sense. Like, I have to point this out. The difference between moving forward from a place of closure, saying to oneself, like, I identify something's over, versus someone saying, I'm waiting for someone to change. And so I see, like, a lot of this energy in separation. I almost hear the energy in separation going, is there anyone around you that believes that you're in a partnership with them? Right? Because I see even now, like, a lot of that energy are wanting to say to one another, I want to identify that you're not just going through a lover's quarrel. You're not just going through like an issue with someone. I want to see that finalitude that articulates the fact that when you say something is energetically over, you actually understand that it's over, right? So we see even now, like, a lot of those energies in separation, being very conscientious to recognize and identify the difference between someone who's, like, says that they're, like, waiting for someone versus someone saying, I'm not waiting, I'm moving forward, right? While for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing with the energy coming into divine union right now, the breakthroughs that you're having right now in partnership are informing what did not work in past connections. And that's either informing in the sense of seeing something about the self that you now recognize that you could have changed to resolve something in a better way, or that is the recognition of what someone was lacking in their own powers of self-awareness that was creating an impossibility vector in order to heal something. That can feel very shattering when you experience it. It can feel very profound. A lot of that energy is experiencing that sense of breakthrough and then holding one another in the process and saying, but we're consistent in relationality to understanding that I told you a little bit of that chicken and egg thing. Like, was the change outside of the self or was it within? This is the energy that says, does it, like, the point of understanding is one, that the context through which how something occurred, it almost feels irrelevant. Because if this is the energy that says, I'm having those breakthroughs with you, this is the energy that says, with you, I was in energetic alignment. With you, I was energetically ready, right? So it's difficult because I see even now it's changing the context of the understanding of what occurred in those past relationships in the process, right? Like the ground is changing underneath them. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union, this is more of that frustration point I told you, in relationality towards what others identify and take for granted versus what you put work into. And so I see even now there's more of that energetic frustration that when you make something look effortless and others misassume that it is for that reason, it's like you're not going to go into the process of unpacking to someone all of the difficulties that you may have in the context of partnership. But it's like, it's noteworthy. You take that note because that's the difference between someone who looks at something energetically and says, it must be so easy for you, versus someone saying, again, you make it look effortless. That is our daily collective read for the day. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you would like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings for the day. First and foremost, if you missed our lovers class, the class will be going up today for the paid subscribers. Any paid subscribers on my Substack that missed it will have access to it today. You'll be notified once it is up. Our next class will be held on Thursday, November 13th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Chariot card. I cannot wait to teach this card. I feel like it's often misunderstood. If you would like to become a part of that class program, now is the perfect time, because when you become a part of my class program, you have access to the full repository of course materials and recordings. There's about 7 hours to catch up on right now. Ample time before our next class. It's not required that you catch up, but it certainly helps. I will be giving recaps in each class. And all you need to do is head over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. If you decide, you will also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've learned thus far or anything you're interested in learning. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward and how to pursue your own personal studies. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to both the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So I want to thank you if you're already joining us there, and I look forward to seeing you at our next class. Also, if you are a subscriber here on my TikTok, make sure that you head over to our subscriber-only Discord. There's a special coupon code there, so you'll get an additional discount when you purchase those classes. Even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings and services. I post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person event and live online schedule. You'll also be notified as to any giveaways. Speaking of giveaways, we are in the process of having our October giveaway. If you would like to win a free private tarot reading with me, simply head over to the link tree in my bio. There's a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway. But if you would like to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey to a friend, because when I pull the winner, not only will I be gifting away a free reading to the person that wins, but I will also be gifting one to the person that referred them. So thank you if you've already entered, and I wish you the best of luck of winning this month. Also, speaking about classes, for my students that are looking for more personalized experience learning from me, I'm very happy to offer mentorship classes. These can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series. That is 4 45-minute courses, 1 per week over the span of a month or bi-weekly as your schedule allows. These are focused on whatever area of personal development or spiritual study and practice you are most invested in learning more about. I take a very limited number of students for this reason. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings one per week or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. Finally, I want to let you know that if you're interested in becoming a moderator for me, moderator applications are now open. You can apply to become a moderator with our gift back program, which is free readings in exchange for your services as moderation and as a thank you to the work that you do and help me do. All you need to do is head over to my Substack. There is a link at the top of my Substack which will lead you to the application form, or you can email me directly at gracestrega@gmail.com. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again.